Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome to the First Time Gardener channel. If this is your first time on my channel, I do appreciate you checking in on us and hope that you find the content in here enough that you'd like to subscribe to the channel. So today's video, I had a subscriber that is just getting started gardening, and she really doesn't know really how to start. She's watched some videos, but she asked me if I had a gardening 101 video to learn how to start gardening, which I don't really have one just for that, so I thought I'd make one real quick to go over some pointers and stuff if you're just starting your garden, on my 5 top picks of what you need to know and how to get started. And I'm going to tell you the 5, and then we're going to go over each one a little bit, not into really deep depth, but enough information that you can get started on your garden. So here's my 5 top tips. Okay, first of all, you got to know what you want to plant. What are you looking to grow? What do you like to eat? No sense in growing stuff that you're not going to eat. So I mean, that's my opinion. So I like to grow stuff that we typically buy a lot of at the grocery store to help cut down on that. Second tip is, where do you want to grow this? Are you going to grow in buckets? Do you have a raised garden bed? Or are you going to take a spot in your ground and get it to where you can grow like in an earth bed? So those are kind of things you got to know. And then wherever you're going to plant, whether it's a bucket or in the ground, what kind of soil do you need to grow this product? And then the last but not least is fertilization, how to fertilize the plants that you're going to put in the ground, and what kind of care you need through the life of the plant. So that's kind of the things we're going to go over on today's video. And just to be clear, I'm in Florida, zone 9A in northwestern Florida. So all my tips and stuff are going to be directed to this area of growing, since my viewer is here and wanting to grow. But a lot of these things can vary and apply to where you're growing. It might be just a different time of the year that you have to apply these principles. A lot of times we start our spring garden, we'll starts in January, and we'll put them in into February, 1st of March. I know, like where my son lives in Michigan, you know, their first probably planting, it would be the very end of April, maybe into May, before their last chance of frost is. So depending on where you live, just take this into respect of where you are and where I'm at. Okay, so the first thing, let's see what you want to plant. Now today is January 7th. We are preparing our seeds and stuff right now. If you're growing any seeds and grow seed trays, this is going to be for our spring planting. I would say for a first-time gardener, things that are easy to grow are like green beans. They grow pretty well. And if you get a bush green bean versus a climbing green bean, you don't have to build trellises and all this for your first time. And it's well grown in buckets, as well as raised garden bed, as well as in the ground. You can do this. So green beans, snap peas, sugar peas, and then some of your herbs like cilantro, rosemary, that sort of thing can be grown now. But you want to get it in the ground and in your buckets as early as possible, because those things bolt really quick. And as far as your brassicas and stuff like that, which is broccoli, cabbage, and all that for a first-time gardener, I definitely recommend that you grow them in your fall season, because if you don't get them started early enough, they're going to bolt instead of giving you vegetables and stuff in the summer. So anyway, find out what you want to plant. And then the next thing is, where are you going to plant these things? Are you going to put them in 5-gallon buckets? Are you going to grow them in the ground? Because some things like green beans, peas, and that sort of stuff, you can sow in the ground right where you're going to plant them and raise them. So other starts like cilantro, rosemary and that stuff. However, you can start them in the ground. I find it better to start them in seed pods and then transplant them into the ground, just because of the bugs and the worms and stuff that start coming around when it warms up. Because they take 7 to 10 days to germinate, and then they start coming up out of the ground, and these little bugs and stuff eat the little starts that are coming up there, and then your plant's dead. So those sort of things I like to start and get them well into where the true leaves are started, and then I'll transplant them into the ground. For me, it does better. Okay, so if you're going to plant in a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, make sure the bucket is food grade plastics. They usually have it on the side of the bucket. You'll see a stamp that says food grade. So you want to plant in that. You also want to drill a few holes in the bottom of your buckets to make sure that you have good drainage. I suggest 5 to 6 holes in the bottom of the bucket, like 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch round. If you're not going to grow a lot of stuff, I suggest you just go to your local box store or your closest nursery and just buy planting soil. You might want to get some compost and some soil, 2 different bags, mix them together. And then if you want a multiple coverage of, like, for fertilizer in there, I would get maybe some 10/10, because then you get the phosphate, you get your nitrogen, and you get your calcium, and it's kind of equal mix. And that's usually a slow release fertilizer too, so it can slowly release as the plant's growing, so you're pretty much going to fertilize throughout the life of the plant. After you get familiar with gardening, and if you decide you really like it, then it's costly to buy a bunch of it. Like if you have a big in the ground garden, it costs a lot to buy bags to put it in there. So then you might want to think about making your own soil, along with composting and stuff like that, which I have a composting video out, shows you how I compost. I also have done a couple videos where it shows you how I prep the ground before I plant, which is 3 equal parts garden soil and black cow, and I mix those in 3 equal parts, mix them together. And if you're planting in buckets or something, I add perlite. If you're planting in the ground, I just use those 3 things together in 3 equal parts. When you're going to grow these things, you want to make sure that you pick the right time of year to grow them. I find out here in 9A in Florida, my 2 best seasons are spring and fall. Summer doesn't do very well at all. The bugs down here just take over everything. It's hot, you got a lot of drought, and it's hard to keep the soil moist without watering every day, so it's a lot of work. So basically what I do in the summer here is I grow cover crops on my soil plots and just kind of rectify the soil and get it ready for fall planting. Okay, and also guys, which is a good thing to do for spring, if you're growing green beans, peas, snap peas, all those things, they bloom with flowers. And the flowers, once they bloom, they turn into your vegetable, whatever you're growing. So it's a good idea to plant some flowers around the area that you're going to have your garden in, because that will attract your pollinators, like your bees, bumblebees, honeybees. Even you get some little wasps and some other bugs that fly around that will help cross-pollinate. So I grow marigolds, I grow zinnias. So I'm going to take you over, I'm going to show you a couple things that we're going to start for spring. I'm going to show you the soil and that to help you guys get started. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you some different soils and products that you can use in your growing methods. That'd be the quick and easiest for you guys if you're just a first-time gardener and you're just getting started. Make things life a lot easier, and as you grow and watch more videos, you'll learn more about making your own soils and adjustments and when to start things. But we're going to start a few things today just to show you how you can get started. So let me take you down. I'm going to show you some of the products that you can buy in your local box store. Okay, so these I got at my local box store. This is my go-to one. It's potting mix, and you can see plus fertilizer, and that is for container gardening. It's ideal for flowers, vegetables, and herbs. This also can be put in, if you have a small raised bed, you can buy several bags of these and put them in a raised bed, or if you have an above ground gardening box or whatever, you can buy this too. And I suggest, you know, something like this, a potting mix or soil mix or a garden mix, is a good thing to get started with. And the next thing I use a lot of is black cow. Now this is cow manure. It gives you 5-5-5, which is an equal amount of your nutrients to go in there. And then here's another thing I use is your 10-10 fertilizer. This is a slow release fertilizer, so it should fertilize your vegetables that you're growing for almost the entire process of its growing life. You might have to address it maybe once, depending on what you're growing. You might have to do it again down the road. And then our other one is bone meal. So bone meal is a phosphorus. It promotes root growth. And this is something you want to use like anything you're growing below the ground, like carrots, potatoes, that sort of thing that grows above, below the ground. You want to use bone meal. And one of my other things I use is blood meal. And that's a nitrogen substance that you're going to use to get your foliage. So this is good for things that grow above the ground. Pretty much anything, green beans, pole beans, anything that's growing above the ground, cabbages, broccoli, all that stuff that needs nitrogen. That's what I use for bone meal. I'm sorry, I use blood meal for that. I'm going to show you a couple ways to grow some stuff and start some stuff for your back porch, your patio. You can even put it in your backyard. We're gonna do a 5-gallon bucket. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to grow seeds from a grow tray to start, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to start some stuff today to plant down you know, a month from now into the garden. We want to get them started today. I already have some started, which I'll show you on our way over to the garden. And I'm going to take you to the garden. I'm going to show you an above ground raised bed. I'm not going to plant anything in there today because I don't have the stuff I want to plant there, but I'm going to demonstrate, if you have a raised bed, how to go ahead and plant your stuff in there. So let's get started. We have the 5-gallon bucket. As you can see, there's holes in the bucket. That's for drainage, very important. Got to make sure you have that. And then we have our start tray, which you can, I order these online. They come like 10 in a bunch. They have a plastic cover that goes over it. So if you're in a little cold area, you could stick it in the sun, put the plastic cover over it. It acts like a greenhouse effect. And today in here, I am going to start some cucumbers because we want to put some cucumbers in the ground come probably March. So that'll give us almost 2 months to get started with those to get a good start, and then I'll transplant these. And then I'm probably going to start some lima beans in the other half of this so I can get those started, and I'm going to grow them. And just go look at the back of the back of the packets that you get. It shows you the days to germination that the seed should come up. It shows you the depth that you need to plant them. It shows you the spacing depending on the size, how big the plant gets, and how many days it does take until you can harvest them. It also gives you a guesstimate of when you should plant these in your area where you're at. So all that information is on the back of the packages. So when you go to your box store and you buy a package, if you look on the back, it should give you most of the information that you need. And then I always put my little tags in, cucumbers, the day I planted them, and then on the back I do what the recommended harvest date is. Now these could vary, could be before or after that date. This is just the approximate days it takes to harvest, till harvest. So, and I put one of those in where I plant them. I got to make one for this to do the lima beans. And then, now the things I'm planting into here today, anything that you plant and you want to start, you can do in the same way I'm doing it. You just have to, they'll just be different seeds that you're starting. I have a lot of grow trays that I start. I've got peppers, so I have red peppers, yellow peppers, green bell peppers. I have jalapeno peppers. I also start my flowers, so I'll get a bunch of different flowers and I'll put these in here to plant in my garden. The zinnias, I just take the blooms, the dead flowers as they die off, I save those. I pick the dead flowers off, I save them, and I replant them. Because each flower pod that you pick from there has a bunch of seeds. So out of one little flower, I'll probably get 50, 70 seeds out of there that you can just replant and they'll regrow, so you don't have to buy those. Marigolds, the same thing. I grow marigolds. As soon as the flowers die, I pick the flowers off, I let them dry out a little bit, and then there's hundreds of seeds in each flower bin that you can replant. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with our growing tray. This is the grow mix that I have. I have an open bag. All right, guys. So I'm going to just dump out of the bag into these cylinders. And you just want to spread it around. Now this will work. You can also use seed starting mix, and the difference between seed starting mix and these have a lot of like clumps of wood and stuff like that. That's bigger product. The seed starting mix will be more fine to help start it, but the ones that we're starting today will do fine with this here. I have it on a wheelbarrow, and I'm going to keep a space open in between. I just like to do that so I know what's what and where. So you want to push down, make sure your cylinders are packed pretty tight, because if they're not, you're going to have air gaps in there and the seeds don't germinate very well. And this potting soil here that you have, if you have a piece of screen or something, you can screen this out and just, it'd be like a fine dust. It'd be less bulky to grow them, but we'll be fine with that. And then once these come up, they take them about a month to grow good till you get a good root base in here. Then you can transplant them to wherever you're going to grow. If you're growing in a 5-gallon bucket, or if you're going to go in a raised bed, or if you're going to go in an earth bed, at that point in time you can transplant them into whatever you're going to grow. This is just showing you how to get started. All right, so we're going to do the cucumbers I want a lot of cucumbers, so we're going to do it on this side. So we have 4 cylinders. And we're going to do the cucumbers. Now I'm just going to put 1 seed per cylinder and hope that the germination rate is good. If you want to double your bet, you could put 2 seeds in each one, and then if they both come up, you'd keep the strongest one and kill the one that looks the weakest, so that you only end up with 1 per cylinder. But here's your cucumber seeds, and if you've opened a cucumber before, you can tell they are not many seeds in that. I might have to get another one. So basically, you're going to put 1 seed in each pod. Looks like we're going to have just enough. Now, as you get into gardening, you can gather your own seeds. Oh, I got a few more stuck in the corner here. By harvesting your cucumbers, picking the seeds out and drying them, so you have your own. You'll have your own seeds come the following year. I'm going to double up a couple of these just because I only have a couple left, just in case. It'll help production. Okay, then on the back of the package, it's only a 1/2 inch depth planting, so it's about a 1/2 inch deep. We're going to cover them with soil, and that's going to reach our 1/2 inch mark. And we're just going to cover it real thin. Try to pick out the bigger stuff. And we're going to water these real good, because all this stuff is pretty dry. You just pack it down real good, and then once you hit the water to it, it'll pack it down again even more, because you want that soil nice and tight around that seed. Make sure it germinates. Okay, that's it. And then you're going to put your sign in here so you remember what you planted. Okay, and next we're going to do our lima beans over on this side. Alright guys, so lima beans, they're a lot bigger bean, and they say to plant a depth of 1 to 1.5 inches, so we got to make these cylinders a little deeper, and we're going to plant one in each cylinder. Alright, it's the end of the seeds. We didn't get too many seeds from that. Alright, so we pushed them down till they're about 1 inch below. And now we're going to cover them up with some soil, same as we did the cucumber seeds. Again, make sure they're nice and tight packed. Take out any of the bigger stuff. All right, and that's that. Okay guys, next thing to do is just make sure you get your tag, put the date, what you're growing, And then I put on the back 60 to 85, that's your harvest days till you can harvest them. And we'll put it right in here. Now let's get a hose over here and we're gonna water them in. All right guys, we're just gonna put it on mist. And you're gonna soak this in really good. All right, now since it's so dry, it's going to take a little while to absorb that. You probably want to hit it once all the water is absorbed. You probably want to hit it one more time with this, and that's ready to put out and start growing. Germination will be 7 to 10 days. You'll start seeing them come up, and it'll take about a month and a half. Once you get the true leaves on. So when the leaves first come up, you have two little leaves that come over. Those are called the cotyledon leaves. And that's what's going to make the plant survive from the seed until gives the seed and the plant its energy until what they call the true leaves come on, which will be the second set of leaves. And then you want the second set of leaves, the true leaves, to be on there for a couple weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're going to harden them off in the full sun before you transplant these into your buckets or garden or wherever else that you're going to have these planted. All right, up next, let's do a 5-gallon bucket. Okay guys, next is we're going to do a 5-gallon bucket. Like I said, make sure that it's food grade buckets, and we're going to use our potting soil mix again. All right, we use that up, and let me get the new bag. I don't have enough in here to fill this up. All right, guys, just going to put this in the bucket. All right guys, so we're about 3 inches from the top of the bucket. Got that on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to saturate this bucket with some water so this all can drain down and get moist. And then we're going to come back and we'll finish the topping and planting them. You just want to keep flooding this bucket until you get about a ½ inch of residual water sitting on top. All right, we're just going to let that soak in a couple minutes. And then we are going to put some more on top, and that's what we're going to plant in. All right, bucket's been soaking for a few minutes, so we're going to top it off. Okay guys, so just top it off, and I like to leave about 1 inch of gap between the top of the soil and the top of the bucket. That way, as this soil sits, it kind of crusts over and it becomes like waterproof. So if you bring it up to the very top of the rim, when you water it, the water's just going to run off. This way it kind of captures the water and it lets it sit there and soak in. All right, so got the second part of it on. Now we are going to mix in some blood meal. As I said, so this vegetable, which is going to be green beans, they grow above the ground, so the foliage and everything needs a lot of nitrogen in order to get that foliage in there. So we are going to mix in blood meal. You can see just a black fine substance. So we're going to do like 2 big handfuls of blood meal. Now let's go a little bit more. And that's going to give our nitrogen that these plants need to grow a lot of foliage, get a lot of photosynthesis, and promote the flowers to come on, because each flower you get, that's what's going to produce your bean. So you want that to really promote the growth, vegetation growth, so that you get a lot of flowers. The more flowers you get, the more beans you're going to get. Now anything you grow above the ground, you could grow whatever, green beans, pole beans, sugar snap peas. You can even grow broccoli. If you want to grow broccoli in here, you can grow a head of cabbage. Any of this stuff is the exact same way that we're doing these here. Now, let me go get the seeds. Seeds I'm using are a Landreth stringless green bean. I got them from Haas Seeds. And the reason I like these, especially in a bucket, is they're a bush bean, so you don't have to have a trellis. So you can grow these in here and they'll just get bushy. And you can pick them off the bush. And we're going to sow these right into the ground as well. Once I get my area that I'm going to grow them in prepped, we're going to grow these here. So we're probably going to put about 6 beans in here just to make sure that they germinate. If all 6 germinate, we're going to have a big bush, but if not, if they don't all germinate, then hopefully we'll get 2 or 3. So, and all I'm doing is poking my finger in here. 2, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to plant these in here. Now then you can put this on your back porch or whatever. I'm going to plant one bean per hole. And you should get, every one that comes up, you should get a pretty good yield out of each one of those. So the rest I'm saving for my garden. Now let's put 2 in the middle. One of them fell out. Planting depth is 1 inch. There's no need for spacing because you're growing them in here. All right, so like I said, do the exact same thing for whatever, broccoli, green beans, pole beans, anything like that. We're just going to cover them up with some earth. We're going to tap it down a little bit, and we're going to give this top soil some water so these things can start germinating. Grab the hose. And we're going to flood this, not as much as we did the first time, but because the bottom's already done, but we want to get the top. We want to get the top to get all nice and moist. All right, that should do it. Just got to make a sign for these to put in here so we know what we planted. Okay, we made our little tag, green beans on the back, 55 days to harvest. And on the front as well, the date that we planted them, so we can kind of keep track. We'll just stick that in there. And then this is going to go on my 5-gallon grow table. And if you see how I did that 5-gallon grow table, I have a video out of it. You can watch that, and you can put these, it holds 5 5-gallon buckets. This is going to be the 6th one, but I'm going to squeeze it in because I think we can fit it on there. All right, guys, next we're going to go out into the earth bed and raised beds, and I'm going to show you what to do out there. We're not going to plant anything in there, but I'm just going to go through the process and the steps of how you do it in case you have a raised bed. All right, guys, so here's one of my raised beds that I'm going to be growing in this year again, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to put in here. That's why I'm not going to plant anything right now, but I am going to show you the process of what I would go to in order to plant here. Let's get in there and talk about it a little bit. You either have or you've made your raised garden. You can make it any size. Maybe you want to make it just like a 3 by 4 foot section. You're going to fill it with soil, dirt. If you have good dirt, you're going to amend it before you plant. So what I would do in this scenario before I planted, and let's go back to the bush beans, the green beans that we were planting. So what I would do is I would take this area and I would cultivate it either by hand or with my tiller, till it all up. Then what I would do is I would put black cow down and spread it so it's about 2 inches thick on the top of the surface. Okay, so you got black cow. And then on top of that, because remember it's growing above ground, so it needs nitrogen, so I would get blood meal, and I would put blood meal on top of the black cow, and then I would turn that in. Just turn it in with a machine or whatever. So now you got black cow and blood meal all on the surface, all turned in. Rake it smooth, and then you're going to plant whatever it is you're going to plant. So if you're going to plant bush beans, what I would do, read the spacing on the package. I would put them about every 10 to 12 inches, but whatever the packaging says. So basically, make a hole with your finger or a prod, put a bean in there, cover it back up, then in a straight line, put your finger in, put another bean, cover it back up, then put your finger in, put another bean in, and then cover it up, and then water it in. Like I said, the ones we planted are bush beans, so they're going to get big. They're not going to get so tall. They might get about 24 inches tall, but you won't have to have a trellis. Now if you do plant a vining green bean, which is fine, there's a lot of varieties out there. You do the exact same thing that I just showed you here, with the exception of you want to put some sort of a trellis for it to grow on. Now there's several different things you can use as a trellis. The ones that I grew here last year, I got tomato stakes, and once the plants were up about, I used tomato rings. So once the plants were up about 6 inches, 7 inches, I put the tomato ring around them, and I let the plant grow up into the tomato ring, and then as it branched out, it would just hang over and hold the plant up. And that's what I did. And then you can just go through and pick them off. So, and then you can do your lima beans the same way. You can plant the lima beans in here. You don't have to start them like I did. You can plant them right in the ground. I'm trying to start them because if I put them in the ground, I feel by the time they come up and they're striving, I'm going to get caterpillars and stuff that might eat them. So I want them to have a good start to them before I put them in the ground, to give them the best chance to overcome the bugs and stuff that we're going to have. Usually you don't have the bug pressure until it gets closer to summer when it really heats up, but I try to do the best I can to make them thrive before we put them in the ground. That way they have the best chance of growing. So anyway, I hope this was a little helpful to you. This is my Gardening 101 If you have any comments or questions of anything that I went over in this video, please leave them in the comments below. I'll definitely get back with you. And if you need any other explanations of something you might want to grow that I didn't cover or you're not sure of, yeah, just shoot me a comment in the comment section. I'll be glad to help you out. So I hope this was helpful. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, this is a good time to subscribe. If you would give me a thumbs up for this video, ring that notification bell. Let's let you know every time we upload a video. And by all means, take care. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Happy gardening, guys.